attitude that keeps some Christians poor, which is believing God for cash, believing God for actual dollars or whatever currency that your country uses.
Hi there, my name is Elizabeth.
Hey, my name is Ugo.
And welcome to another episode of Youthful Vibes, where we bring fun and enlightenment to the journey of youth.
And this episode, we're talking about money. And since money is one of those subjects that's important to young people, to the youth, so people in their teens and their 20s, today we want to talk about 4 attitudes about money that keep Christians poor and how to fix them.
That's right. But before we get started about today's topic, don't forget to check out NEUGenLeaders.com and pre-order our book, Package for Success. You don't want to miss it.
Yes, if you've ever had a question about what your purpose in life is or what your mission in life is, like if you've asked the question, why am I on the earth today? Get that book and read it. Believe me, before you get to the last page, you will know for certain what your mission in life is.
That's right. And also by pre-ordering our book, you get an opportunity to enter a raffle to win a magic mug.
For the holidays, yes.
If you have not subscribed to our channel already, don't forget to subscribe.
Take care of it now. The first attitude about money that keeps Christians poor is the belief that money is evil.
That's right.
And depending on the circles that you grew up in, there's a lot of scriptures that you can find that if taken the wrong way could justify this belief. And one of them is 1 Timothy 6 verse 10.
Yes, 1 Timothy 6:10. We are looking at the NKJV version, and it says, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil, for which some have strayed from the faith in their greediness and pierced themselves through with many sorrows." So
when you read that, of course, if you read it on the surface, you just connect, money and root of evil. I don't want money because money is evil. But you miss the point that it's the love of money that is the root of evil.
Right. And speaking of the love of money, we are looking at Luke 16:13. And it talks about serving 2 masters. And you can't serve God and serve money. You can't love God and love money. Like, you have to love one and hate the other. And I think that the point that we need to take away here again is the love of money. He never said that there was anything wrong with having money, but there is something wrong. Again, I think it's one of those commandments that thou shalt have no other God before me. When you start loving money, it's like you start putting something above God, and there is nothing that is above God.
Yeah.
Get it right.
So that's one, that could be a reason why people think that money is evil. Another scripture that justifies the fact that that could justify the fact that money is evil is when you look at James chapter 5. I think James chapter 5, the first 5 or so verses just releases all these curses on people who are rich. It says, people who are rich, your gold is going to judge you. Just read it. It's quite scary if you read it on the surface. And it's easy for you to think, oh crap, if rich people are getting all these curses, then I don't want to be rich. Money is evil.
Mm-hmm. And then also another point is, depending on your interactions with people growing up, or even interactions with people that have wealth, you can believe that money is evil because of how it can tear apart families, and how like kids who grew up with parents who have money, a lot of them felt like they were neglected, like their parents didn't have time for them. Or even when someone rich, when they die, and then it's like all of a sudden everybody is coming out of the woodworks and they're fighting over the cash, and you end up destroying relationships, lifelong relationships, over money.
Mm-hmm. And it's easy to think, rich people spend all their time trying to hang on to their money and ends up, like Wifey said, ruining their relationships and all that. Because of that, money is the cause of all the terrible things you see happening in the lives of rich people, therefore money is evil. Well, that's one of the attitudes, and here are some solutions. First, before we go into the solutions, please realize that we're not saying that if you don't want to be rich or if you don't want to have wealth, that there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. If your mentality is that you just want enough for yourself and your family and that's good enough for you, kudos. that's perfectly okay. You are still going to make it to heaven, all things being equal. If wealth were evil, God wouldn't give it to us. We have there's a plethora of scriptures in the Bible that where God promises us wealth. If we meet the requirements and if we desire it and if we walk with God at that level of faith, He has no problems with giving us wealth or with trusting us with wealth. Now, if wealth were evil, God wouldn't trust us. God wouldn't give it to us to begin with. He doesn't roll like that. So that's one of the things to keep in mind, that if money or if wealth were evil, God wouldn't have any business trying to bless His people with things that are evil.
Another thing that we need to remember is that we are given an abundance thereof so that we can be a blessing and so that we can pour out unto other people. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with wealth as long as we do not hoard it and harbor it and just keep it to ourselves, but we use it to be a blessing unto others. And I always tell hubby, it's kind of that ripple effect. And you know, people bless you so that you can bless others, not so that you can hold on to the blessing that you have been given. I think it just kind of reminds me of the story of the 3 people who had the gifts, and then the other
talents.
2, the talents, and then one of them ended up burying it. Like, we weren't given our talents or our wealth or our money or our resources for us to bury it. We were given it to multiply it and to give unto others and to multiply our riches so that we can bless other people to also bless other people to also bless other people.
Yes, and that ties well into 2 Corinthians 9 verse 10, where it says that God gives the seed to sowers and bread for food. So if you were to break that down, what it basically means is God will meet you at whatever level you want. Bread for food basically means that if you want enough for yourself and for your family, then kudos, you're gonna get that. He will provide enough for yourself and for your family so you're not lacking anything. But if you want seed to sow, which means you want to be able to give to others, you want to be able to distribute wealth, you want to be able to help your local church, you want to be able to be a blessing to the world around you, He will also meet you there. So He will give you seed if you want to be a sower, or He'll give you bread if you want to just eat. Either way you want, He's ready to meet you at that level. But just remember that you gotta have in order for you to give.
Attitude number 2 that keeps some Christians poor is the fact that they believe that wealth is a stumbling block to our faith and that it'll also prevent us from going to heaven.
And it's easy.
Not me.
It's easy for some people to think that, because when you think about the story of Lazarus and the rich man, right? Lazarus, poor, went to heaven. Rich man, rich, went to hell. And it's easy for people to think, oh crap, I better not get rich, because if I got rich, it could become a stumbling block to my faith, because trying to hang on to it could cause me to miss God or to miss God's purpose in my life. And this ties well into number 1 as well, which means which is that mentality that because money could be a stumbling block to you, then money is evil, therefore you don't want money.
Yeah, and then I think I was telling you also that, like, it was a reminder, because I feel like a lot of people see a lot of Christians who aren't wealthy. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, like, you're like, oh, maybe that's what a life of Christianity is. That's mm-hmm. how things are supposed to be for me. Like, I'm just supposed to be, humble and, meek and, or whatever, and not have money. But baby, it don't got to be like that.
There's that perpetual association of humility with poverty mm-hmm. and arrogance with wealth, which is to say essentially that rich people are arrogant, poor people are humble. And well, when we talk about solutions, we'll address some of that, but it's a thing. It really is a thing. There's growing up, we heard expressions like as poor as a church rat. So like, you gotta, first of all, that rat sucks, because first of all, it's poor, then it's a rat, right? But it's in the church, so it's Christian. So, so you think about that, and it's like, oh crap, okay, for you to go to heaven, you need to be meek and just walk through the earth, oh humble me, not associate yourself with anything of the world. Money is worldly. So I want to go to heaven, heavenward, onward, onward Christian soldier. All right, now, onto some solutions. Some solutions, the first thing to remember is that money makes you more of what you already are. Money is an amplifier. So if you were someone who had a bad attitude, if you get money, it will amplify that bad attitude. All of a sudden, everybody around you is beneath you. If you're someone who is humble, money does not change that. And it's also important to remember that some of the most arrogant people that I've met are people that are not, they're broker than broke, right? So money by itself does not create the attitude of pride. It's there's virtually no correlation between the two, right? So that should not be a reason, that should not be a solid enough reason for you not to want to be wealthy.
Right. And I'm going to take us to 1 Timothy 6:17-18. And it reads, "Teach those who are rich in this world not to be proud and not to trust in their money, which is so unreliable." Yeah, because you can be broke tomorrow. "Their trust should be in God, who richly gives us all we need for our enjoyment. Tell them to use their money to do good. They should be rich in good works and generous to those in need. Always be ready to share with others." Y'all, and that was from the NLT version. Can I just say that my heart was touched? Seriously, I feel like it goes like hubby, like we're always talking about this, how the way that God blesses us is so that we can be a blessing to other people, and hopefully in turn they will be a blessing to other people. And I feel like this says it so much right here. And remember, we were talking, it's not just in your income. It can be in your time, it can be in your donation, it can just be in your service. I feel like it's also important to realize that when we talk about wealth, we're not just talking about money, right? And so we can be rich in so many different areas. I think it's also important, like God says here, your faith shouldn't be in the things that you have. It needs to be in Him, because He's the one that gives us everything that we have. He's the one that causes us to have an overflow. And when we are blessed with such an overflow, it's important to remember where it came from and why we have it.
And if you remember that what you have, you were given, humility is a constant. Like humility is the result of remembering that everything you have, you were given. Therefore, you don't want to put your faith in that, because the giver could just take it back away. And even though the Bible says that the gifts and the callings of God are without repentance, God wouldn't allow His gift to you to be the thing that will stop you from making heaven ultimately. So just remember that it was a gift to you, and humility is a requirement for you to keep it and for you to grow in it. So attitude number 3 that keeps some Christians poor is believing God the wrong way. Now this one is a bit subtle, because we actually had to learn it. We learned it we're reading a book by Kenneth Copeland, where Kenneth and Gloria Copeland, where we learned this subtle difference. But it's like saying that you're believing God for a car, and you're believing God for the cash to buy the car. Let's just say you're just starting out, you're young, and you're trying to figure life out, and you want to buy a car, and you're believing God for $3,000 to buy a car. That is potentially a wrong way to go about getting your car. And we'll talk about that under solutions. But that's one attitude that keeps some Christians poor, which is believing God for cash, believing God for actual dollars or whatever currency that your country uses.
So I'm going to take you guys straight into solutions, and we are looking at Deuteronomy 8:18. "And you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you power to get wealth." And I'm telling y'all again, we keep coming back to this. It is God who blesses us in abundance. It is God who gives us every single thing that we have. And it is God who causes us to have an overflow to be able to bless others. So in situations where you are looking onto God for something, simply ask Him for what it is that you want, because you do not want to limit the hand of God by asking Him for the money for what you want. Because while He will still bless you, probably through someone else, you are like, okay, God, I want this red cup. But God is like, but I want to bless you with this blue cup. And this blue cup is larger than the red cup that you are asking me for.
Or better yet, God, I want $5 because I want to buy this red cup. Instead of saying, God, I want a cup. And then He can give you a cup that's the best for you. And it's a very, and we say it's a subtle difference because we had to learn it. Like we didn't know, when we learned it, we're like, oh my gosh. And we've actually tried it. So we're not saying anything that we've not actually tried ourselves. Now we're not perfect, we're not there.
Still learning.
We're on our way there, but it's such a subtle difference. It's like saying a car, for instance, instead of saying, God, give me $3,000 if you were a college student, $3,000 or $5,000 or $10,000, whatever the money is to buy a car, just ask God for the car. And the difference is then God can send somebody, or then you allow God to creatively meet that need for you, instead of telling him how to do it. So ask God for what you want. Don't tell him how to do it. And don't be so narrow-minded that you're telling God, okay, I want cash for this. No, ask him for that thing, and then watch him be creative on how he meets it.
Yes, I'm telling you, it changed the way that we pray, and it has changed our lives.
And we've seen a lot of areas where we could have missed that. So, if you want now, before we believe God for something that we think is huge, we always have to take a step back and say, okay, are we asking for the means to get there, or are we asking for the thing? Right? And then it's always wise to just remember you want to ask God for the thing and allow him to meet it however way he sees fit.
Yep.
Under this, just remember as well that another way that God could answer your prayers is by giving you ideas. Now, a lot of people get this mistaken, because you're asking God for money, but God can't physically give you money from heaven. If whatever currency your country uses is not used in heaven. So if for God to give you what you're looking for, he has to translate whatever you're asking for to you in some way, and most of the time he gives you an idea that carries the material equivalence of whatever you're asking for. It sounds like a lot of words, but basically what I mean by that is, if you're asking God to meet your needs, he could give you an idea that meets that particular need, or he could give you an idea that meets that need but also meets your needs continually. That's a way of saying investment ideas. That's a way of saying profit yielding ideas and ventures that he could drop into your heart, that if you follow through and you acted on them, you would have that need met, but you also have a lot of other needs that will come up in your life in the future met. But if you're so narrow-minded and you're so focused on the money or on the cash, you miss the bigger picture. A lot of people that we know of in the Bible, or even today, see, ideas rule the world, right? And when God wants to bless you, most of the time he gives you an idea. A lot of people that we know in the Bible who became wealthy, it's because Job, Jacob, Abraham, a lot of them traded secrets that they got from God, but those secrets made them wealthy, not because God gave them cash, but because God gave them ideas that they then translated to money.
Right.
So be wise in the way you ask God for stuff. Don't ask God for money. Only ask God for what you want, and let him meet your needs, and be open to whatever ideas that he releases to you.
Yes, and talking about the point of ideas, I think another part of it is when God gives you an idea, while it may be revenue, while it may bring in revenue, it's also important to be open to the fact that that idea may serve a purpose in the community, or may also be a way to serve others or be a blessing unto others. So all of our group homes, our shelters for women, I think it's important to know that those started off as ideas, but they have made a change in somebody's life. The fourth attitude about money that keeps some Christians poor is a warped attitude towards giving and tithing. And when we're talking about this, we're talking about an obligation that some of us may feel towards giving, or even the mentality that what we're giving to the church is not being used properly, or feeling like we're being manipulated by pastors to give. I just listed all of them out to you because I feel like a lot of y'all probably fall in some of those buckets, especially the manipulation part. A lot of individuals probably feel like, man, this pastor's about to get up here again and tell me we're about to collect another building offering or whatever, and you just feel like every Sunday they're trying to manipulate you into giving for some type of reason. Or even you just feel like the church, you see your pastor driving a new car and you feel like, is that where my money's going? And you're not happy with it. So let's talk about this.
Okay, the solution for this is to remember that giving is the secret sauce to kingdom prosperity. God requires that we give for us to get blessed at a very high level. And this is one of those secrets that when you understand it and you trade it and you believe in it and you give with understanding, you're very limitless in what you can receive. So if you have a warped attitude towards giving, automatically you're limiting how much you can receive. Because giving in the Bible is tied to sowing. And sowing and receiving, we know that it's one of those things that God is very committed to. It's one of those covenants that God gave his people in the Bible, that gave us in the Bible, that if we do it with understanding, we're guaranteed of the returns that come from that blessing.
It's important to avoid the trap of giving out of obligation or not giving at all. You need to understand the reason why you're giving. And that takes me to 2 Corinthians 9:7. Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. It's so important for us to make sure that we have an open mind and like our hearts are open to give whatever it is we're going to give. And if you're feeling like, man, I feel like this man is really just pushing me and I feel like I'm being manipulated right now and I'm just not in a position to give, my heart's just not in it, it is perfectly fine to wait. Don't feel like because someone is calling for an offering or someone is calling for you to sow a seed, you have to go run out with everyone else if you do not feel that conviction. Yeah. You do not have to.
Yeah. And it's it's one of those things that we're talking about, especially with when you think about Christendom and you think about how some pastors sell it, they almost have their hands in your wallet. It might seem like to get you to give at that moment, like in that moment, this is the moment to give, this is you must do it now if it's going to work. Okay, scriptures and spirituality aside, just remember that if you give out of obligation, if you don't give with an understanding, your giving and your seed in that moment what you've given to God is not even acceptable, because you've done it you've done it out of compulsion instead of doing it with an understanding. So it's perfectly okay for you to wait and allow God to speak to your heart, allow the conviction to happen in your heart, and then give. It's like the story of the widow in the Bible that we all refer to, who gave just 2 denarii. And Jesus said that she gave the most of all. What that tells us and what that teaches us is that God is not looking at amount. God is so at your heart posture when you give than anything else. So if you give with the wrong attitude, or if you give with the wrong heart, then you might as well have just kept your money.
And thank you guys so much for watching our video. Just remember that money is not the root of all evil. Remember that we are meant to be a blessing unto others, so it is okay for us to be wealthy and still be humble. And remember that we need to pray the right prayers, and it doesn't always have to be about cash. And last but not least, give, but give with
an understanding.
Yes, and with a given heart.
Subscribe and join the family to see more videos like this, and feel free to look at other videos that we've created over the past few months. Don't forget to pre-order your Package for Success book on www.newgenleaders.com. Is it like this? This way. Is it this way? This way. I keep forgetting. It's one of the. It's how to come down. Bye bye.
I see you blowing me a kiss. It's okay.